Hello, world. Welcome to Africa Let's Talk. My name is Collins Kofi Opon. You can call me Mr. Beyond. If you have joined the conversation, please share the video so that you can invite others. Because tonight, this morning, I should say, we are talking about the Restoration for Community Outreach Conversation, which is live right here on Africa Let's Talk. And of course, it's also live on Restoration for All, as well as our partners networks. I am your host, Collins Kofi Opon. You can always call me Mr. Beyond. And today we are discussing the Follow Along program, a free initiative by the Minnesota Department of Health that actually helps families track their child's development from the age of 3 and up to 5.5 in some counties. The program actually provides regular check-ins and fun activities, as well as expert guidance, while also being culturally and linguistically inclusive, supporting the Latino, Afro-Latin, African immigrants, and the refugee communities with free participation and interpretation services. Joining us today are Josefina Geronimo and, of course, Katia Zepeda. We're also going to be joined by Dr. Tololupe Ola, who are leaders working closely with this impactful program. Stay with us on this conversation and let's explore indeed how we can all support healthy childhood development in our communities. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, please help me welcome my guest, Zatia Zepeda. Please, is that how to pronounce your last name? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, Katia Zepeda, that's right.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I greatly appreciate you coming on board to have this conversation with us. Truly appreciate it. Of course, I know the other guest will join us. I think we lost your colleague briefly on the line, but hey, yeah, I'm going to start with you to kind of get into the conversation. At this moment, can you give us an overview of this program and what communication or outreach methods have you found most effective for engaging your community in this early childhood development program?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Could you repeat the question again?
Oh, yes. No, I said if you can give some brief information about the Follow Along program, and also we want to know what communication or outreach methods have you found most effective for engaging the Latino parents in this program?
Thank you so much. So first off, thank you for having us here on your show and for allowing this space for these very thoughtful conversations. Absolutely. And so the Follow Along program is a state program where the state tracks the developmental stages of children, especially early childhood. And this also gets used later on for educational purposes as well. So it's not just about the brain development, but also the physical development of the child. So to ensure that all children are getting their needs met and that they are growing and thriving successfully. So this is a program that has existed for a while, and I know that one of the ways that they try to do the outreach is by making sure that it is community informed, and that that's one of the tools that we use is that for many of the communities that have a collectivist ideology, this is the best way to do it. Instead of having a state employee coming into these communities that are not well known, they hire or they contract out with other agencies such as Restoration for All to be able to do those community outreach, because as we know, we need to have that buy-in power. And so that's one of the outreach tools that we use is that you need to find the people that are trusted in the community. And once you know that they have that built-in trust and buy-in power, then they know that, okay, this is a safe space, this is where you can share, and this is why we are gathering this information. It's not to track you down, but it's just to help with the development of your child, because we all believe that it takes a village, and this is part of those tools for that village to be able to have your child be successful and grow. And also to identify if there are problems, how can we get you the tools that you need to be able to help your child grow?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so not only is word of mouth really important, but also social media. And since many of us are able to go into social media, especially Facebook, you have
Mhm.
so that even if you do have the information in English, but it can automatically translate it when you write it on the description. So those are some of the tools that we have used. Outreach is first off identifying who those folks are that are the elders or the community leaders that are respected and trusted. Because many times, even if you put the flyers, the
Mhm.
strongest the strongest force to bring people in is word of mouth. So that is the biggest one, is mainly word of mouth as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you so very much. We are also joined by Josephina. I'll bring her on so that we can actually get her perspective as well. Josephina, if you can briefly also actually introduce yourself briefly. And then the question I have for you will be, how can we better tailor developmental screening tools to reflect the unique cultural and linguistic experiences of, let's say, the Latino or the Afro-Latino families? Please, if you can go ahead with that for me.
Yes, hi, good morning. Thank you again for this opportunity and sharing space. My name is Josefina Jeronimo. I'm an educator. I've taught Spanish, language and culture, and English to people learning English as a new language
Mhm.
for several years, and I'm currently an interpreter. So I do a little bit of many different things.
Right.
But I'm very happy to be involved with this project because it's something that I'm very passionate about, and it speaks to my own experience and that of people around me.
Mhm.
So, so with this question, I find that first and foremost, it's so important to identify within the Latin community. There's so much richness and diversity. So I love
Mhm.
the inclusion of Afro Latinos. The diaspora is extensive. You have people that are first generation, second, third. Um, some people have lost the language. There's also multilingual. So I think um, understanding that first, that the Latin community is not monolithic, that there are various needs, and there's that richness to it,
Mhm.
and they're able to provide a lot to society, and it's the fastest growing, ethnic group in this country. Um, so with that, because of their linguistic background and that richness, some of them speak Spanish as a second or third language. So I
Right.
find the program to be very important, not just for language development, but also as a means to, um, not just be a pilot program, but be a program that's established to help other communities. Um, I think it's very important to offer services in different languages
Mhm.
um, that are culturally responsive, to go out into the community, but to cultivate a relationship, not just a one and done or a lot of information, without the care. There's
Yes.
a word in Spanish we say cariño. Do things with cariño. You do things with care, with that intentionality. It doesn't really translate, or at least I don't believe it's like it's a practice. You
Mhm.
go in there with the best of intentions. So I think a multi-generational approach, identifying needs, that consistency, um, really fostering practice. I think
Yeah.
it's a very important community. It's in a community that can also contribute a lot to many different ways. It's just those needs are different, and that's okay. I think a lot of these tools that are used are based in Western practices.
Mhm.
So I think there's an opportunity to move away from that and really focus on, okay, what does a community need,
Mm.
and how can we develop this to also help other communities. So I think rooted, to kind of wrap it up, rooted in language and culture, but in a very intentional manner. And also that accountability piece.
Okay.
And
Okay.
make,
No,
yeah.
thank you. No, thank you so very much for sharing views about this. My wife and I, we recently had a baby. He is 2 months, and we've been having some visits. And I realized that the conversation that takes place, especially with my wife and this nurse or provider, are very meaningful towards the growth of our child. So I'm happy that there's a program actually that is being introduced, and in this case, culturally tailored to meet the needs of communities like the Latino and obviously the African immigrant community. I would like to come to you now, Katia. How can we make the follow along program events feel even more welcoming and culturally affirming to the Latino families? Because I think sometimes the pushbacks from families will be, is this for me? Are we really doing this to suit my needs? And how are we doing that, please, if you can share with us?
Well, there's several ways that we think about communication, and not just in the Latina community, but we're always looking for other signs per se. And so many of these are not even spoken. They are things like, the first thing you see are visuals, like what does that flyer look like? Does that represent part of my culture, or is it mainly just, the Western culture that is being displayed in the images that are being used? What language are they using? Is it, you can always tell when it was Google Translate or some other document, because you're just translating literally and missing the context, or like Josefina said, the other meaning behind those words. They're not just words, but they are practice. There's cultural sensitivity to each word. And then also the location, especially in this environment right now where the Latino and immigrant community is under attack from every which way. And so being careful on, where are you having this event? Is it close to a police station? Chances are people are not going to feel safe to come to that area. Or are you in a neighborhood where you see a lot of flags that look intimidating? For some of us, unfortunately, there's been symbols like the Trump flags or even the US flag that kind of you're apprehensive because you do not know how welcoming or that neighborhood is going to feel. So we're always looking for those types of signs and symbols around, whereas I would feel, or do you see a rainbow flag or, a pride flag? Do you feel that, or they have a sign on their lawn that says Black Lives Matter? So you understand of like, okay, what spaces can I feel safe? Will I feel welcomed, or will I feel protected if something does arise? Or who are going to be the folks that are going to be calling on me if they feel threatened just by my presence? Am I going to do I look suspicious? Do I present just with my physical presence there? Are they going to feel threatened and therefore call the police or call someone to protect themselves from just my presence? So it's little things like that first we need to take a look at. And it's really important when you're choosing locations, when you're choosing places, when you're choosing even dates as well. So there's different holidays that we celebrate as well. And so you also want to avoid those holidays and doing events around those times, like, Mother's Day for the Mexican community and other Latin American communities, we celebrate it every May 10th. So chances are you're not going to get a big crowd or folks coming in just because of how we view that relationship with motherhood. And so then there's also other holidays that, that are in play that you might not be able to get a lot of us. Or also, like, there is the Hispanic Heritage Month. So there, in that case, it's not so much the folks, but the people that are helping create that work. That is our busiest time where everybody remembers us and tries to pull us in like 50 different directions to be present there for community. There's that, or Cinco de Mayo, even though in Mexico it's not really celebrated, but yet here it has, Cinco de Mayo here for the Mexican American community has a different meaning. And so being understanding of that, that in those days, they're probably not going to come to a follow along program because they are trying to celebrate or they're trying to go to other places. So, and that is best to go in those communities and meet them where they are at instead of having them come to you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So when we're talking about program, in this case, we're talking about events that we put together in the community to kind of educate people about the follow along program. Is that what we typically do? No. So oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear again.
I'm asking that when we talk about programs or events, we're talking about activities or events that we put together in the community that bring people together to educate them about the follow along program. Okay, absolutely. Of course, if you just joined the conversation, please remember that we are talking about the Follow Along program. We said that it's a free statewide initiative by the Minnesota Department of Health, which is designed to help families to track and support their child's development from birth to age 3, and in some counties up to age 5.5. Of course, through this program, there's going to be regular check-ins and simple questionnaires where parents can monitor how their child is growing, playing, talking, moving, and behaving. Of course, in return, families receive personalized feedback, fun activities, and practical tips tailored to your child's age and stage. So I think this is something that is really, really important for families, especially in my community and many communities. There are many developmental challenges that we encounter with families and their children. So I think this is in the right way to providing some support to these families and just what they did. Of course, I would like to come to you, Josefina. Your roles, or what the question actually is, what roles do Spanish-speaking community workers or health workers actually play in building trust and increase participation in programs like Follow Along? I think you've worked in the community for a while, and with your experience, what role specifically do you play in building trust and increasing participation?
Yes. So these promotoras de salud, these health workers and health promoters, it's a concept. I don't have the exact date, but it's a concept that was birthed in Latin America. There's ties greatly to Mexico, and tied also to popular education, where you teach one, build one. You democratize information. You meet people where they are, and you help build their sense of empowerment and sense of agency. So that concept was utilized here in the United States, I don't know, around the 60s, 70s. Started with farm workers, but it's now expanded to, different settings. And I think it's definitely an important tool. It's very effective because, again, like I mentioned, this term, meeting people where they are, this phrase, but I really think that that's in real time how you meet people where they are, whether it's through a home visit or you meet with them at the park because they're there with their family. It's not just information dumping or offering information. Or sometimes an agency might translate a document, but it's not equitable. It's in Spanish that is not accessible. So this health promoter, this promotora de salud, will explain it, understands the culture, understands the cadence, the humor, understands that there's this dialogue, there's this exchange, not just transactional. Okay, I'm here, here's the information, I'll see you later. There's that follow-up. I think it's a very important tool. And the goal is to empower community, right? To that reciprocity and paying it forward. So I think it's something that needs to be used, and not only to employ people, but to empower community. So I like that that it's something that's growing, but I also wanted to mention that historical background because the answers are in community, so going back and telling people, hey, we've been doing this for a long time. We have the ability to help one another and grow and find success, especially for our youth.
Absolutely, especially for our youth. Ladies and gentlemen, the conversation right now, it's on African Let's Talk. We are speaking about quite an important part of our development, especially in families, which is the follow along program. If you have any questions, please you may reach out to us via our Facebook or YouTube. I'll be more than happy to read out these questions. I believe we may have been joined by Dr. Ola, but I'm not sure if she is ready now. But yeah, we'll be checking in with her because definitely they are the conveners of this conversation. So would like to speak to her and see what are the experiences like, what are they gathering, especially from the experience of the Latino community that can be translated into the other community, especially the African immigrant community. I would like to come to you. Madam Katia, as well. In your experience, how do Latino families define developmental success? And how does this compare to mainstream definitions, especially in tools that are used like the ages and stages? Of course, in my community, developmental success could mean something different from the Latino community. Can you please share your views with us?
Sure. For us, our developmental stages, the way that we define the success is in relations. How close are you to your child? How close is your child? Are they happy? Are they jumping around, moving, playing? You know, and also how well did they get along? Not just with mom, but like with dad, with our extended family. And even if you don't have extended family, how well did they get along with your chosen family as well? Because that's one of the things that we do too, is that if you don't have your family here, you understand how important it is to have that community. And so you have your chosen family as well. Folks that become your best friends, and all of a sudden their children, you see them as your nieces and nephews as well, you know, and it's very common for our children to grow up seeing those folks as also your aunties and your uncles. And so I think that's one of the ways that we see it, is that developmental stages is more about how loved, how nurtured do they look? We see it as are they eating well? Are they getting their enough sleep? Whereas I know with the tools that they have, it is very much centered on folks that only speak one language. And also the growth rate on the measurements are for the white folks as well. So when you're trying to measure a child that doesn't fit those boxes, then you're adding that pressure on that family and making them feel like, hey, something is wrong, you're not up to par. But yet the measurements are not made with our, you know, our food, our culture, our heritage, the way that we grow in mind. And that also speaks to how our brain is growing and developing, especially if your child is growing in a bilingual, bicultural environment. So their brain is going to function very differently from someone that is growing up in a monolingual culture and dominant culture, where their culture is a dominant culture.
Yes.
And so we see that internal fighting. And I can even give you an example, even within my own family. So my child, not only is she Latina, but Mexican, but she's also Nigerian.
Oh, okay.
And so growing up, you know, according to the developmental stages that they were measuring her up to, she wasn't meeting the developmental stages of speech. But yet they weren't taking into consideration that she is learning 2, sometimes 3 languages at the same time. And so her speech might not be there, but that does not mean that she cannot understand and that she is behind in her developmental stages. Is that she's learning one word 3 different ways. Right? And so, but yet she was able to communicate with us through sign language, but yet they weren't considering that as part of also communication, of also part of speech. The same way with the growth chart. You know, sometimes our babies are a lot smaller than the white folks that are here, but yet we are measuring them, their height and their weight based on that. And I remember one of the times, this was in Northwest Minnesota,
Mhm.
where I brought my child and they were weighing her and they were measuring her. And according to their chart, she was so underweight. And yet they're like, wow, you're really tiny. You need to start eating hamburgers. And it's like, you know, it took me aback because it's like, wow, not only are you judging my child, but now you're body shaming her and telling her that she's too skinny and needs to eat. And that's a problem, that you start giving that message to a 2 year old, to a 3 year old, that, hey, you're not, and not only are you saying this, but you're saying this in a public space where there's other families listening and watching. That's problematic. And so to start giving children and families that message that, hey, you're not meeting our standards of growth, of development, it's really harming.
Indeed.
And it got to the point where even now with my second child as well too, because they weren't meeting it, then they made my child go and get more treatment, more tests for growth hormones.
Mm.
Something that didn't need to be, because if you see my child now, she's taller than me. But
Mm.
yet, when she was 2 or when she was 3, because she wasn't high, their height didn't meet their standards, they thought it must be growth hormones. Let's do
Mm.
other unnecessary testing on that child.
Right. Right. No, this is great. This is great insights into how developmental success is measured, especially in communities, and why it's important to really put in cultural perspective when we are doing this. We've been joined by Dr. Ola. Please, Dr. Ola, I know you are the convener of this conversation. What are we learning so far, especially from the Latino community, and how are we inculcating this into the Black African immigrant community? Please, if you can share with us or any other information.
Thank you very much for your time. I've been listening since we started, and I want to thank our two consultants for the rich conversation they've had so far. I appreciate what they do. We decided to do some things virtually because the turnout at our events has not been very impressive. And we saw the reason. We got to know that there are so many factors mitigating against this program, and for people to come out and really get to know more about it. So we opted for this option, and we're grateful to you, Mr. Beyond Africa Let's Talk. It's really important for people to know that we use a lot of cultural strategies. We have decided to come, to your platform, using this platform, because we know you are doing a lot in the community, and we want to appreciate you for that. This program is part of, there's so many programs that we do in the community, but we have seen that it's so difficult to really get to make the impact that the program is supposed to make. It's a different ball game when you are able to tell people about a program, but it's different when people actually engage meaningfully with the program. We've seen that people are not engaging meaningfully with this program for so many reasons. When you talk about a child's development, most parents in our own culture, they think when a child is not doing well developmentally, parents are to be blamed. So not to play the blame game, people tend to move away from things like this. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be assessed. I don't want my child to be told, I love the example that Katia gave. It's very normal when you see a child that is skinny and you say the child is not eating well because the child is eating a culturally appropriate food that she's used to. Sometimes we feel, these are derogatory, and we tend to become defensive. I know there was this lady that came to the office. We told her about the program. The day she came, I thought she was ready to enroll her kids. But she said, let's leave the kids. Are there other things that I can benefit from this program? You understand? And talking about the age and stages questionnaire, it's a parent completed developmental screening tool that is designed for children aged to 66 months. So it includes age-specific questionnaires covering 5 domains. One is that of communication. Kids communicate differently.
Mhm.
You know, there are some kids, even up to the age of 3, they are not able to utter a word, but they still communicate. So if we use all these domains to determine how a child is developing, we might be missing out some things. Also, there is the gross motor, there is the fine motor, problem solving, and personal social skills. Or each kid, we can say they are unique.
Yes.
And when it comes to this tool, we are helping the state, MDH, to really redesign this program. And I love that Katia talked about, you know, a child who is growing up in a bilingual family where they speak their mother tongue, and then the child goes to school, speaks English. Josefina also mentioned something really important, that we need the right people to do the right thing.
Mhm.
Familiar faces. That's what we call cultural sensitivity. So looking at this questionnaire, do we want to say it's culturally sensitive enough? You know, it has been translated into so many languages, including Spanish, India, and indigenous communities, with validation studies showing strong linguistic reliability. However, I want to say that as an expert in what we do, I can say that we need more cultural adaptation. You know, it's important beyond mere translation.
Yes.
Translation is something, but cultural adaptation to the way a child grows, I think that is essential. You know, we recommend using community health workers to review these items, adjust culturally inappropriate content, and contextualize questions to avoid misinterpreting child rearing practices. And people are so careful when it comes to questioning their parenting style and
Mhm.
child rearing practices. So we need to be more sensitive, culturally sensitive, when we talk about this program, because we don't want people to feel we are judging their
Judge,
child
yeah.
rearing practices. And I want to say that it is true cultural sensitivity, you know, that we can get more people
Mhm.
to, you know, really key into this program. What the state wants, it's for each child between that age, um, ages of 0 to 6, of 0 to 5, to be
Mhm.
enrolled. But I told, you know, the state, when I had a presentation last month, I said we need to have a model, and this should be a model that we can adapt
Mhm.
and we adjust as needed. If we are doing outreach and we see there is no need to move to engagement, let's remain on the outreach and build trust, build relationship before we move to the next stage. I
Right.
can't meet a family for the first time and start asking questions about their child rearing practices or how their child is developing.
Mhm.
That makes them even very curious. Why are you asking me that question? Is she not looking okay? Is it not looking okay? Is the child
Mhm.
not looking well fed? So these are some things these are some things that we should take into cognizance as we, you know, help the community and also support the state in supporting our community. I'm going to stop there. If you have other questions for me, I'm right here. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you so very much for the information and, of course, all the different perspective and insights that you have shared with us. That is really, really important. I'm not sure if we still have Josefina. Josefina, can you hear me? Okay, yeah, I know her screen is blank, but I thought we could take her voice. Otherwise, what's the next stage for this program, and what is the community expected to do to really be part of it in terms of benefiting and also getting information about the follow along program?
Thank you very much.
If I could just
Go
add,
ahead.
sorry, Dr. Tolupe, if I could just add to what Dr. Ola was saying, is that it's really important not only once you gather the information, but we need to build that trust with the communities. And they're going to want to know, one, why are you gathering this information? Because not only are they going to be feeling judged about their parenting, which is something that is very personal to each individual, but also how is this information going to be used? Are you going to use it to weaponize us? Because culturally and historically, that is something that has happened, not only here in the United States, but even when we are in our countries where they have come to our countries and extracted and then used that information against us. Here in the United States, it's a threat where if you don't answer correctly to what they are telling you or what they are looking for, you can have your child removed because they're going to be like, oh, is this child abuse or is something else happening? So for them, there's that real threat and that fear because historically, our communities are looked through a bigger lens. They're looked through a magnifying glass, and every little thing any little mistake can cost us greatly. So I think that's also something really important for the state to understand is that even when you do have those cultural elders coming into the community, that they're still going to be hesitant to trust such delicate information when it comes to your child and that it is not being weaponized against you.
Absolutely. So sensitivity is everything. Obviously, I believe that in the nutshell, we were trying to help families, but then being sensitive towards their needs and expectations are also very important. Dr. Ola, I think we may be concluding the conversation at this point, but yeah, if there's anything you'd like to share as far as the next stages of the program is concerned.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Beyond. We've been on this for quite a while. This is the second year we'll be spending on the program. And the next steps is to really meet people where they're at. As Katia and Josefina said, meeting them with the right people. I don't speak Spanish, but Katia and Josefina does. We have someone on our staff who is from the Somalia community, going into the community to meet the needs of the people, of our community members, and meeting them where they're at. So we are planning to go into apartment buildings where we have a lot of our community people living and plan events. We will be sending you flyers to help us share on your platform as time goes on, as we go on in the program. Also, we'll be coming live more to allow more people to call in and ask questions right there and then, direct them to the right places. If they need language support, we have people on our staff list or our team, to help with that. And also, we want to say, we are not doing this to judge anyone. We are for the community and we are part of the community. We are not supporting the state to throw anybody under the bus. We are doing this to help these kids. These kids are our future. If there is any problem, if we are able to identify that problem early enough, it's good for us and it's good for the parents so that we will be more proactive than reactive. Because when things happen and, we are talking about it, we should have, monitored it since the child was just 2 years. And then we are talking about it when the child is already 10. But if we had, if anyone has participated in this program, it will be possible for you to know this is what they are saying, and they will refer you to the right place. We are currently working with Dakota County. We have meetings every month to tell them about, to give them updates on how we are doing. Most of the time we talk about our challenges mostly, but right now coming to your platform, Mr. Beyond, is one of the opportunities and the prospects we see in the program. It's an opportunity to use different platforms to talk about this. And I know if there are any, questions, you will be there to help. You know about the Follow Along program right now. And, we need your support too. It's a multi-sectoral approach that we want to continue to use now. Any gathering, the events, we want to be there. Please, people should invite us to table to talk about this program because we know it's important for our community. And I want to say a big thank you to our 2 consultants. Thank you for being there. Sorry for the miscommunication. We thought it was going to be on site, not knowing that it's going to be online. Thank you for your understanding, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Over to you, Mr.
No, thank you. Thank you so very much. I have to say that we've had some challenges getting Josefina, but she shared some very good information earlier on. So if you just joined, you can always start from the beginning and get all the information that you need. We're also going to make sure that we promote this conversation and boost it to reach more people, even as we are concluding on the conversation. But Kadia, if there's a parent watching and they want to figure out, is this actually for me? What information do we have for them? What are some of the issues that are critical, especially in the development of these children? And for example, my child, I'm trying to figure out, is this for me? Is she meeting or has she met what she needs? And so please, if you can share information quickly about parents who is wondering if this is for them.
Absolutely. This program is for everybody. And that's what we're trying to get across, is that you don't have to do parenting alone. It is really hard. And there's so many things out there. And sometimes you don't know where to start or sometimes you know you need something, but you don't know what that is. And so this is where this program is helpful, is that, like it says in the program, follow along. Like we are all following together the growth, the development of your child. Because at the end of the day, we want all children to succeed. We want all children to thrive and be healthy, because they are our future, but they're also our present. And so that's why this program is really important and why we're trying to work so hard to make sure that it is successful, because the success of the program is also the success of our children. And so it is, so it is for everybody. And also, there are resources out there. We're very fortunate that this program is being held here at Dakota County and that the resources are there. And so how do we make those resources more accessible to our community? And so this is one way to be able to bridge that gap of like resources, of data for the needs of our children and our families.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate the conversation. Oh, what happened right here? Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on here, but okay. Sorry. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, we're all back on. So no, thank you so very much. So I think for parents, like it's been said, this is for you. You may not know what your child needs or doesn't need. So I think it's great to come on board to figure out if any of these interventions are going to be helpful to your child. And for example, if they have met all their growth stages, so-called developmental stages, then at least you know that you've checked it out, and then you can continue to do whatever you're doing. So at this point, is there a way that parents can directly get involved, or this is mostly about education, or are we actively enrolling parents?
So what we do at Restoration for All is that we connect families with this program.
Okay.
We look for children between the ages that we are, that are supposed to be registered or enrolled. And just for our audience to know, this is not only in operation in Dakota County, it's a statewide program, but RIFA is currently connecting with people in Dakota County. We have other organizations that are helping, in other counties as well. But if we come in contact with you, we can always make a direct referral or enrollment to MDH, and then it will be sent to the right county and the follow-up. The only thing that we are telling the county and also the state that is a challenge right now is for people to read the mails that are sent, not to trash it.
Yes.
So as part of the education that we are doing, we always show them a sample of what to expect in the mail. When you see this, please, it's because you enrolled. It's because we talked to you about this program and you consented to be part of it. And that's why you'll be getting this type of mail. I think that's really helpful, because sometimes people think, I didn't ask for this, so why am I getting this mail? More so that it's talking about a child's developmental milestone. So we also educate people on what to expect. And if they have issues completing the questionnaire, our offices, are open. We have a place in Brooklyn Center, and we also have an opening in Invergrovite, 2 spaces in Invergrovite, where we can help and support families to complete the form. We not only introduce you to the program, we support you navigate, the system when it comes to filling the questionnaire, asking questions, and also supports that are needed for the child. So these are some of the things that we do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, ladies. I really appreciate the time and information and for coming on board to speak about the Follow Along program, which indeed is something that every family, I believe, has to be part of. And for trusted community messengers like yourself, I believe that people can really trust and learn more and even just ask questions. Sometimes you may not necessarily want to enroll right away, but you want to ask questions. I think this is the right time to do that. And they can always reach out to you. I was trying to pull up your email, your website. For people who can access the website, please, we encourage you to visit the website and then be able to learn more about what you can do. Obviously, I think there's a way that you can even go to Restoration for All website and sign up. You can phone numbers that you can call just to get to know more about this program. Thank you very much. I cannot thank you enough. Is there any last words before I let you go, please? Okay.
One thing I would like to talk about is that being part of this program, we have always gone back to the drawing board to tell the state that there is a need for us to do, a readjustment. And I'm grateful that the state, they are in the process of redesigning this program, because we don't want to talk about the challenges alone. It's a very good program. While we are talking about the challenges, we also want to use these challenges to redevelop or redesign the program. And I'm grateful to Mitchell, who is in charge of this, and all the other team members from Dakota County. They are very receptive to ideas. They listen to us. And, you can read more about this program on this link that I'm going to share right here with Mr. Beyond. And that will be on the page, so that you see how far they've made some changes to really accommodate culturally appropriate and linguistically appropriate approaches that could help families that are from cultural backgrounds. Thank you so much.
Is this particular link?
Right there.
Okay.
That's it. And this was done not only by REFA, it was done by the other organizations that we have. And it's a statewide program. I'm saying that again. We are not the only ones involved in this. We have other community-based organizations. If you have any question, please feel free to check this page and then reach out to any community-based organization that you'll be interested in talking to. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate your time. We will continue to spread the word indeed about the Follow Along program. And this indeed is a great intervention for communities and for families. And I encourage every family, no matter how your child is doing, to get involved and to enroll and be part of this. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to wait for another 10 years to say, oh, I wish I had done this for my child. So this is the right time to do that. Thank you so very much, ladies. I really appreciate your time. If there's anything that comes up, I'll certainly reach out to you as well.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye. All right. We've come to the end of Africa Let's Talk. My name is Kofi Oppong. We've been talking indeed today about the Follow Along program. Really great program that is needed for our community. And they've shared more information about this. So please, you can always go back and watch the full video just to get more insight into it. Thank you so very much. Have a great evening. If there's anything that you'd like to know, you can always reach out to African Let's Talk or Restoration for All, or better still, as far as this program is concerned, just go type at Google Follow Along program, and you're going to get everything that you need to enroll your family. Thank you very much and have a great evening.